In today's video, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to try to make an aquascape with bamboo. Oh, and we're also going to add some very special shrimp at the end, so stay tuned. Oof. This just came in. Okay, so here's our tank for today's build video. We have a beautiful brand new optic white 35 centimeter cube. So it was 35 centimeter all around, holds roughly 42 liters. I guess that's about 10 gallons. And this one is from Blau. It's not sponsored or anything. I just really like the dimension of this tank. So I'll leave a link in the video description. I also got a heater because the inhabitants that we're going to be putting in this tank like it warm. Now the reason I chose this 35 centimeter cube is because it fits perfectly on the shelf. So this tank over here, for example, is the exact same model. And as you can see, it just fits perfectly. There's very little space between the bars on the stand and the glass. Can't really go anything bigger than this, so yeah, fits perfectly. And the saltwater tank is a 35 centimeter cube. That one is 35 centimeters. And the one in the middle here as well. So kind of just wanted to keep that going. So the one we'll be making today is going to replace this one over here. This is the low budget beta tank that I set up a while ago now. It's going in, it's looking good, but it's time to move on. Time to move on to something new. So this tank will be taken down. The beta is going to go to a different tank, and yeah, that's it. The light that I'm using today is from CHIHIROS. This is the CHIHIROS A2 series, and this is the A2361. So technically this is for tanks that are 36 centimeters long, but as you can see, it fits quite alright on 35 centimeters as well. It's not sponsored or anything, just a light that I personally really like. And before we can start scaping, there's two things that we need to do. We need to add a background and we need to add a little foam mat underneath the tank. The background is just something that I like to do so I don't see the wall behind the tank, just looks a little bit better. And the foam mat is just to make sure that we don't have any weird pressure points on the bottom glass panel that could potentially break it. Not something that we want, so a little foam mat is just some extra security. Okay, that's the background done. Next up we'll do the foam mat. This one doesn't stick by itself, so I'll just use some double-sided tape to stick it to the bottom glass. And then just like the background, I'll trim off the edges. Okay, background done. Foam mat done, so now we can begin with the fun stuff. As I mentioned earlier, I want to do an aquascape with bamboo. More on that later. Let's first start with the substrate layer. So this might seem like a lot of products just for a substrate layer. And it is a lot of products. And to be honest with you, like none of these are really necessary. The only thing I would suggest to get is just a good quality Aquasol. Everything else is just extra. So the first product that's going in is this substrate from Dental Plants. This is just a very nutrient-rich base layer. Like the Aquasol already has a lot of nutrients, and I just want a little bit more, so this just provides extra nutrients. So for a 30 by 30 centimeter tank, they recommend 1 liter. This tank is a little bit bigger, but it's fine. So I got a 1 liter jug, so we'll fill this up. So it kind of just looks like dirt, you know? But according to the packaging, it has like NPK and like trace elements as well, so all the nutrients that plants need. Okay, next product I'm gonna add is APT Start. I've used this once before, and basically in here we have a bunch of like dormant starter bacteria. So this one also contains some nutrients, so we'll just sprinkle it on top of the substrate. And then there's also a pouch in here. Let me open it up. There's like this blue sachet, and in here we also have bacteria or like food for the bacteria. I'm not sure, but this one you'll add later once we have water in the tank. So what's in this bag, you'll sprinkle on top of the substrate, and this will add later. And all these beneficial bacteria are just going to help stabilize the aquarium faster, so can't hurt to add them. Okay, then we have these substrate additives from ADA. So I have Tourmaline BC, Clear Super, and Bacter 100. Now these are definitely the most expensive from this whole substrate system, but then again, these jars, they last quite a long time and you can do a lot of setups with them. So I've used them, I think 3 times now, with the 90B behind me, the 30 centimeter Beta Cube, and also in the 45P. And there is something about these things. Like, I was very skeptical in the beginning, but those 3 setups have been very smooth, like little to no algae issues. So there is something about them. So I'm just going to start using them, more often. Let's just get on with it. And if you want to know what all these substrate additives are useful for, I suggest you just do your own research, because I've checked it out and there's a lot to it, but it's a bit too long to explain. Basically, it just helps with nutrient uptake, it helps to keep the water nice and clear, and it helps with some beneficial bacteria as well. So I think those are like the 3 main benefits. Okay, and then the final step for the substrate layer is of course the Aquasol. In my opinion, this is the only thing that's really necessary. Everything else that I just showed you is just extra. I mean, of course you can also use gravel and some root taps, but in my opinion with Aquasol I just get the best and the fastest plant growth. Okay, so the substrate is all done, so we can now move on to the hardscape. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we're going to make a hardscape with bamboo. Let's talk about that for a little bit. I think this idea first came to me like a long time ago when I saw some people make aquascapes with lucky bamboo, the green one. Kind of like the idea as well, but I never really got to do it. And then a couple of weeks ago I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw a tank from professional aquascaper Hip from the United States. And he made sort of like a betta biotop with bamboo. Looked absolutely amazing, so I thought, I have to try something like that as well. So I'm very much inspired by Hip. So let's see what we can come up with. So here in the Netherlands, bamboo doesn't grow in the wild, at least not that I'm aware of. So I went to my local garden center and they actually had a decent selection. So I bought bamboo in 3 different sizes. So these are like really thin ones. Then I have slightly thicker ones as well. And I also bought really thick ones, which are like 3 meters long. And then besides the bamboo, I also have some really nice rocks. These are, I think they're called black venom boulders from Wio. Wio always comes up with these weird names for rocks, but these look pretty cool. Some nice contrast with the bamboo as well. So that's the hardscape materials. Let's see what we can come up with. So usually when I start my videos, I've already done a little bit of like hardscaping beforehand, but this time I haven't, so this is like completely freestyle. This is the biggest rock, so let's see where we're gonna place this one. Okay, so that's all of the rocks in. I think that looks pretty good already. I'm kind of going for a biotop style, not so much for an aquascape, so I kind of just place the rocks in without really thinking about it too much, no? So we have like 3 big ones, and I place them at like different heights, and then just smaller ones around it. Now let's add a bamboo, see how that looks. I forgot that I had to cut these first. So let's see, 35 centimeters. Maybe a little bit bigger so they stick out of the water. Let's do 40 centimeters. So I bought bamboo in 3 different sizes. So we have thick ones, slightly thinner, and then these really thin twigs. So I'm thinking to place the thicker ones more in front and then the thin ones all the way in the back. And hopefully that way we can create some extra sense of depth in this layout. Not sure if it's gonna work, but let's give it a try. Okay, that's the first try. Not really loving it just yet. I think we also need more smaller ones, kind of just randomly mixed in instead of just in the back. I also need to cut them a lot shorter because this way that's never going to fit on the shelf, you know. So let's cut them a little bit shorter and then some more. Let's just keep going. Okay, so a couple days have passed, but I think the hardscape is now ready. So we still have the thicker ones in the front and these thin ones in the back, but I've kind of just mixed it up a little bit more. Also placed some thin ones in front. I think right now it looks natural. Also most of the bamboo sticks are tilted a little bit towards the side or a little bit towards the front. Like none of them are really like completely straight and upright, you know. I think otherwise it would look very unnatural. I've also already glued the hardscape together, so most of the bamboo sticks are now stuck to the rocks. Now, normally I do this with cotton pads and liquid super glue, but I thought for this build I'll just use the regular gel type super glue because I thought those bamboo sticks are just very thin, very light, and doesn't really need a lot of glue. But it didn't really work as well as I had hoped. I mean, maybe I just need a little bit more patience, but my favorite method of gluing is still the liquid type super glue with the cotton pads. Now in the meantime the plants came in as well, so I've placed some of them in here. So we have some really nice blixa, some different types of myriophyllum, and you can see from the side I have this really cool red kabomba. Never tried this one before, so very curious about that one. Okay, that's the plants mostly prepared. Pretty sure I've bought too many plants, but whatever is left over we can always use for future projects. So let's start planting. First things first, let's give everything a little spray. Okay, here we go. So I don't really want a carpet in the foreground, but I do want a little bit of green. So I'm just gonna plant some dwarf hairgrass just here and there, you know. Maybe a little bit here in the middle as well. And the last one in the corner here. And then I also have a little bit of this Marslea crenata for a little bit of variety. Maybe one more over here, and I think that's enough for the foreground. Then I have some really nice blixa. I think this will be perfect for the midground. So we can try one directly in the center, one over here on the right side, and then one on the left as well. Then I have some Java ferns as well, but I'm just not really sure about these because I bought them as Java fern petite or Java fern small, and they're actually quite big, so I'm not sure if it fits in here. Let's just try something. I mean, it does look pretty cool. Kind of suits this layout. So I think we have to go with it. So then in the background we can plant all the different types of kabomba and myriophyllum. I've kind of forgotten all the names, but I'll leave a full plant list in the video description. And I'm pretty sure that trimming this tank is going to be a nightmare. Okay, planting is done. Looks really good already. And I've actually managed to use most of the plants. We only have one Java fern left over and some Marslea crenata. So not too bad, and it doesn't look too stuffed either. So the next step, like we have to move the tank to the shelf, but we still have the betta tank over there. So I have to take that one down first. And I'll probably use the filter from the tank and place it on this tank so we can kind of cycle this tank faster. Okay, fast forward, it's been almost a month already. Tank is doing really good, I'm really happy with it, but we don't have any inhabitants yet. Now, I told you guys that I was gonna get some very special shrimp, so let's go pick them up right now. Okay, we're back in the studio of Mr. Frankie Jones. We did a tour here about a month ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it in December?
something like that.
Yeah.
And now I'm back to pick up some shrimps.
Cool.
The Caradina Denerli.
Yeah.
Let's go take a look. Okay, so we'll probably not get very good footage because it's quite dark, but I still have some footage from the tour, so I'll overlay that. But I mean, you've been keeping these guys for a little while.
Yeah, I think maybe a year.
Yeah.
Time flies, so yeah.
Would you say that these are like the most beautiful freshwater shrimp?
In my opinion, yeah, they definitely are. Yeah, especially when you have a good light on them. Maybe a little macro lens because they're little tiny.
Super tiny.
Yeah. In the beginning, they were a little bit shy because they were in a tiny group in a big tank. And they started breeding pretty fast, and as you can see now, they're coming out a little bit because in the evening. So yeah, you can see there are more than 100 already in front of us. Yeah, exactly. It's just doing super good. So all the horror stories and all the hard stuff, yeah, we don't have it with this kind of breed now in our country. So it will probably be different, you know?
Yeah. But you're keeping them on RO water, right?
Yes, RO with minerals.
Nice. And your TDS is like
170, and later on in the week it's almost 200. So I'm 26.
I just checked before I got here. Mine is now around 220, so I think we're more or less the same.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, let's start catching a few. It's now the next day, we're back home again. Shrimp have been introduced and I think they're doing good, but most of them are actually hiding. That's okay. Let's actually talk about this tank a little bit and what has happened in the past 4 weeks or so. So on day 1, I filled the tank up and I actually used RO water for this. I mean, Frank told me that the place where he bought them from was keeping them on tap water, but I wanted to make sure that my water parameters were very close to those of Frank, you know? So I filled up with water, then I installed the hang on the back filter, I installed the CO2 system, and I wanted to add a little bit more details to this tank. So the foreground was still very empty. So I wanted to add some, kind of like botanicals. So I had some leaf litter, I had some mulch, and I had tiny pieces of bamboo left over as well. So I thought I'll just add them as well. Yeah, and I kind of think it looks really good. I also wanted to add some moss, and lately I've been working a lot with willow moss. Really like how that looks. So I added just a few pieces of willow moss. And the last thing I did on day 1 was adding the ingredients from the blue sachets from the APT start. Yeah, that was everything from day 1. After that, I just kind of left it alone. I did do a few water changes in the first few weeks. And I think it was after the second week, we kind of got some startup algae, some diatoms, but nothing too crazy. So I think it was the 3rd week when the tank was cycled, I added some autosinclers to kind of help with those diatoms. And now 4 weeks later, the tank is basically done. I mean, all the startup algae is gone. The plants have grown in nicely. It's quite a wild tank. And I really like the bamboo. I think it's just something different, you know. And then the shrimp, the Caradina Denerli. So these guys originally come from Sulawesi, which is like an island in Indonesia. And they have been on my wish list for a long time. But I kind of stayed away from them because I thought they were difficult to keep. But then Frank told me that his group was breeding like crazy. So I thought, okay, let's give it a try as well. So I think we have about 15 or 20 of them in here. Just a decent group. So hopefully mine will start breeding as well. Now I was thinking of adding some fish in here as well, because I mean we don't really have a lot of movement at the moment. But I'm just not sure yet. So guys, let me know in the comments if you think I should add some fish to this layout. Maybe some tiny CHIHIROS borers, for example. That could be nice. Or maybe we just have to keep it a shrimp only tank. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Bamboo tank is done. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think of this tank and if you would consider using bamboo in an aquascape as well. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.